Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Is that good? Welcome back to the show. Yo, listen up, we back in the game. Sweep the league, we got the plane. On the data to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Right for the two on the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweep the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that. STL Music, mama, we did it. Where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Never Rebroadcast, we unite. Yeah, the best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio.
Enjoying Sweep the League TV? Don't keep it to yourself. Share with friends and let them join the fun.
You are watching Sweep the League TV.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, RAYNE Fernandez.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
All right, what feels like forever, and we actually got another background. That's pretty cool. I didn't notice that. Feels like forever. It's Rudy Campos, and you're going to be joined by Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. It's almost that time for him to go into the Hall of Fame for UTSA under basketball. We're back finally. Yesterday was kind of a hectic day, and this evening was kind of a hectic evening, but we've got a lot to get into. We'll bring on Derek here in just a minute before we give everybody the update on a lot of stuff that we're doing. Quick shout out to SOTB, our executive producer, Shamaya himself. We're going to be breaking some news here when it comes to Shamaya, myself, as well as the network itself. So just stay tuned. That's all I can tell you. Stay tuned. We're going to start the show off with that. We're going to get into some WNBA talk. NFL weekend, we're going to ask some of the hard questions, see what we get through on that. Of course, tomorrow's Wednesday, so we're going to try to do an afternoon show for you guys, cover some college football, go over college football. Thursday night, we'll go into college football as well as the NFL talk. Friday, we'll give you our NFL picks as well as our NCAA picks. So be sure to join us all week here on Sweep the League. Let's bring him in here. It's the Hall of Famer himself. It is Derek Gervin. Derek, what's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm good, my man.
I see you were riding something.
I'm going to put this on my neck for a minute because this is what I'm going to use to strangle Micah Parsons the next time he starts talking nonsense to his teammates, man.
That's a subject we're gonna have to get into because man,
really good to see you.
It's gonna be a tough subject. Those Dallas Cowboys, those Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys, man, it's gonna be a very tough subject. But nonetheless, man, I want to get everybody up to date on something. So we had an announcement through SOTB, and it's I Am Refocused Radio. So their network is already launched, and through the network, Sweep the League is a part of the network that they have, as well as we work not part of it. We're in cohorts with them, but they're starting to do a lot more interviews for videos. We're actually going to be doing another podcast that's going to be launching very, very soon. We have talks with other podcasts coming on to the Sweep the League network. So nonetheless, the way we're going is you're probably going to get a lot of content, not just from us, but from other people as well. So that's why it's so important to join our YouTube. Go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber. We are launching our giveaway this week, either this Friday or Monday, we're going to launch our giveaway for our 500 subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, jump in now before the giveaway. After it's announced, you have a little bit of limited time to get in. It's going to be a cash prize. So just FYI, go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV. Shout out to MCS General Contracting, Special ET, Loxina Taco Truck, also Cashman Sun Solar. But nonetheless, man, we got to get into a lot of talk here. Tons of talk coming out. Every sport's going to be covered left and right here. You know what, Derek? Let's start with one of the harder ones for us to talk about because it's been all over the news. It's some WNBA. So give me a second here. Let's run into our WNBA segment. All right, so the WNBA playoffs are underway. Earlier tonight, we had the New York Liberty defeat the Atlanta Dream 91-82. They're moving on. Right now, the Aces are playing Seattle. I thought Seattle was going to give the Aces, a lot more than they can handle. Seems like Asia Wilson and the Aces are locked in and focused on the WNBA playoffs. So far, what are you seeing as far as the WNBA playoffs are going? What are you liking? What are you not liking as far as, the teams are going? Things going kind of the way you expected them to?
Well, what I like, I'll start off with the games the other day. I thought Connecticut Sun showed who they are, who they've been all season when they played Indiana. First of all, they played really good defense on Caitlin, other than that play you and I talked about that I had you look at earlier.
I did.
And I'm going to say it here, Desiree Carrington, there's no one on this earth that could convince me that she didn't stick Caitlin in the face on purpose. And if you look at the video, it's clear as day. So I didn't like that part. And I'm surprised that the WNBA hasn't addressed it further. But as far as the play, Nafisha Collier, first team all WNBA, came out, had 38 points. I thought she played really well. And they did what they were supposed to do, as they held home court in game one, and they did it convincingly. So that was impressive. And then, you got the Minnesota Lynx, who had the second best record in the league, 30-10. They came out and it was a tighter game than I expected, but they handled the Phoenix Mercury. So far the home teams are holding court, as they say. But I gotta say this, Rudy. I wish the WNBA would really think about making this more fair. And what I mean by that is, in the first round it's only 2 out of 3, and after that it's 3 out of 5. But the problem I have with the 2 out of 3 is the first 2 games are on the team with the best records on their court.
Yeah. And
I don't think that's fair, man. If you're going to play 3 games, they have chartered flights now. So why couldn't you do a 1-1-1? I mean, just make it fair. You don't put the team that's number 1 seed and you give them 2 games at home in a 3-game series. So I would like to see that corrected. But overall, man, the games tonight, if you look at Breanna Stewart, the lady I know deserved to make first team, Sabrina Ionescu, came out, had a big game. I believe she had 36, about 9 assists. I know she had 3 steals. So she set the tone early, and she played really, really well. Atlanta Dream played great the first 3 quarters, I'll say, first 3.5 quarters. Yeah. But after that, they ran out of gas, and the best team won. So I'm going to wish them well as far as getting ready for next year. And I want to congratulate the New York Liberty for moving on to the next round.
Yeah, so the WNBA, they did release their WNBA first team, second team. First team was Breanna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas, Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Satu Sabali are the first team WNBA. Surprising to me, like you mentioned, Sabrina Ionescu, I figured would have been first team, but she's on the second team with Agwemike, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, and Ionescu as well. I'm kind of surprised. Does it surprise you on Jackie Young or Chelsea Gray making that all WNBA second team? I figured one would, but I didn't expect both to make that second team.
I saw a different list because the list I saw had Alyssa Thomas, Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, and Sabrina and Caitlin. And they had Sabrina on there, and they had Alyssa Thomas on second team.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of disappointed on that list that I saw. But the one you saw, yeah, I'm really surprised that both of those ladies made. I didn't think Chelsea Gray. I thought she played okay this year. I didn't think she played as good as she has in the past, and I certainly didn't think she played well enough to make all NBA team this year. That means you're skipping over people like Kalia Copper, who I thought should have been on second team.
Well, you know what? Let me stop there because I was reading 2023.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So that is my fault right there. We're gonna reset that. I can't find the 2024 list.
It's Caitlin. It's Caitlin, Anna Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, and Asia Wilson team on first team.
Okay. So
and
that's
Alyssa
the first
Thomas
team.
made second team, and Ogwumake, Kayla McBride, and I'm trying to think of the other two. Ogwumake, Kayla McBride. I can't remember the last two. But it was a good team. I thought they deserved it. And the only question I had was, would Caitlin make first team? But I can't argue her making it at all because we know what she's done this year. But overall, I thought it was a good team. And I got shout out to Asia Wilson for her unanimous MVP, and shout out to Caitlin for her unanimous Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, I mean, there was no doubt about the fact that, Caitlin was going to win Rookie of the Year unanimously. I mean, it was close throughout the season with her and Angel Reese. So, I mean, at the end, obviously, Caitlin just pulled away, and we were kind of looking at that too, saying the same thing. For Asia Wilson, it wasn't so much of it was unanimous, but it wasn't unanimous for the majority of the season. It kind of came down to the last part of the season. So she did pull away. Asia Wilson is just playing at another level. Comment-wise, Rudy Sitha, Lord is in here. Leah, they do the Down for the Count podcast, or on Twitter, the Spaces. It's every Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. One of the 2 days.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me, everyone.
Dejanay was the first WNBA player to put hands on Caitlin on the season opener. She's a low-key hater. We're going to get into that here in just a second. Derek Gervin, let you know, Carter Words, Duke men's basketball, December 6th, 6 p.m. Central Time on ACC Network.
Yes,
Tim's
sir.
keeping you updated. What's good, everyone? Late to the party. You're never late. How's everyone doing? We are doing great. We're just glad to be back. We had some major announcements earlier, so we'll re-announce that, everybody. What's up, everyone? Jake, appreciate it here. Chris, you're never late. Yeah, you're never late. Louis in here, no doubt at all. And also Leha, the party has started. We're just waiting for you. Yeah, we were waiting for Chris Leha, MCS General Contracting. So WNBA playoffs are underway. And again, I'm going to make the apology. I was rattling off the 2023 all WNBA team. That was my fault. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. So I rattled it off here. But the list apparently that's coming out, it's Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart. See, and this one has Sabrina Ionescu making that first team.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying. And then they're saying the second team is Agumike, Kalia Cooper, Alyssa Thomas, Jackie Young, and of course Enrique. So that's what I was saying about Chelsea not making it. I didn't think she was going to make it on this team, but nonetheless, the big talk, Derek, in WNBA right now is not just the playoffs. It is the eye poke gate between Dejane and
Carrington and Caitlin.
Carrington and Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. So I hadn't seen it, and then you called me up and were like, "Hey, did you see this play?" And I said, "Well, I've heard about it, obviously, but I haven't seen it." Well, I made the comment, well, when you're going for a block or a steal, your hand doesn't just do that with your fingers pointing in
like a claw.
Yeah, you don't just go all the way down like that. And then when you bring your hand down, you don't go forward with it.
Who you ever seen bring it down like this, though? Come on, y'all ladies.
Unless when you're doing that rare type thing,
I
you see all the ladies
I was
doing.
really upset about that. It wasn't that just because it was Caitlin. It's just the fact that when you could injure someone, man. You could put someone's eye out like that. And I know they didn't call the foul, and I know when you're doing real time, it's hard to see. But after you go back and look at the videos, I'm absolutely stunned that we haven't heard any more from the NBA. It was a totally dirty play, and maybe they didn't say anything because Caitlin got her back later, knocked out her contact lens on the follow-through. So, but it was a totally a Bush League play, and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, after seeing it, I didn't like it at all. It was not a good play. And Carrington, I will say I liked her, coming into from Baylor into the WNBA. Didn't think she was going to be a major superstar or anything, but I mean the respect I've had, I lost a little there because it's kind of like, I mean, again, the block, you just don't do that and down. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So I think you're right. Caitlin played it down. The WNBA didn't say anything. Caitlin played it down. They asked Carrington about it. She said, I didn't realize what I did, or I have any idea what I'm doing, what I did. I mean, you're saying all the right things, I guess to avoid bigger confrontations or something. So nonetheless, it happened. It's, I mean, kind of it is what it is, right?
Did her comments. I don't like, the only thing I don't like, man, if you have enough guts to do it, then stand on it. Kind of like Aaron Rodgers and his coach. I'm sure you saw that.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the Salah hug.
So, I mean, just stand on it, man. If you had the guts to do it, just be honest about it.
Yeah, and that's what Elias is saying, is that why would I want to hurt old girl? That's what she was saying. Why would I want to hurt her? I'm like, come on. But it's funny because when the reporter asked her, she kind of gave that wry smile and then kind of like moved her
saw
hair.
what she did when it first happened. You see it. She stood there when she first, right after the foul, right? She pulled a Patrick Beverly move, a Draymond move. She just stood there like, what do I do next? She was telling on herself, man. It was so obvious that it was intentional.
It was, man. It was. I'll say this. Kudos to just Caitlin. I mean, just keeping it business. Yeah. She didn't get injured. Now that's a play that you can definitely get major injury out of. Just a finger straight to the eye. It can do some major damage. So I give kudos to her. She's just letting business be business.
Ruby, now we got to hope that by tomorrow, because remember, she did get a black eye.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that tomorrow her vision is a little better. And
there's no swelling either.
I don't think Connecticut has to do that to beat them. And you just don't do that, man. The young lady has done a lot for the league, whether some people like it or not. We got to accept it. We got to respect it. But no matter what player that is, you just don't make those kind of plays, man. It's supposed to be a sisterhood. And so all of them are in it for the same prize, basically, and that's to continue to grow the game. And you just don't make those kind of plays.
Yeah, you don't, man. You don't. And I agree with you on that, because it's something that shouldn't be a part of the game. Sadly, it is. I mean, we see cheap shots. We see, intentional stuff happen at every level, at every game, whether every sport. It just happens, and it's the nature of the beast, man. That's the sad part and all that here. He says, I'm all for the views, but this is ridiculous. Should be suspended at minimum. The WNBA should have made a statement. I mean, at minimum, the WNBA should have made a statement. That's just a cowardly act by the league not to make a statement. You should have at least made a statement. And, even if you're going to fine her, just fine her. Fine Carrington, whatever. Just do something. I mean, it was not a good look for the league as well. Leha asked a good question about Eric McCoy. He's injured center for the New Orleans Saints. Not using mine anytime soon, so he can definitely borrow mine. But I'm gonna need a little bit of a patio in my backyard, a little extension there, and I can trade McCoy for a little bit of work. Leha definitely hit you up, man. That is Chris Leha, MCS General Contracting. Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Sr., Coach Gio should be back probably tomorrow or Thursday. WNBA playoffs are kicked off. Hottest team you think is the team you got winning it, Derek? I mean, before we move on to the next segment, I'm going to go with the obvious. I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, to me, Asia Wilson's hot right now. I think they're playing at a good level and they're peaking at the right time. And until to be the man, you got to beat the man. So I think I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Aces. I think they can actually get it done.
I don't know, because they changed the lineup. The Liberty, they put that young lady Feibach, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
Feibi. They put her into the lineup, and she's played well. The only reason I'll give them a chance against the Aces is because of size. You got Brianna 6'4", and you got Jonquel Jones, who's about 6'6". And I think that home court this year is important. And I think Kelsey Plum has struggled. She's playing well today. Chelsea Gray, as we talked about, has not been the same this year. It's been a little disconnect a little bit with their team. Jackie Young has played up and down. I'm gonna go with the this year. I guess I'm gonna go with the Liberty to win that series. But I got to beat it. If I had to pick a winner to win it all right now, and I'm gonna say this, and man, if I had to pick right now, I would take the Minnesota Lynx.
Taking the Lynx, okay.
I think they've played really well. Cheryl Reeves being the coach, she's got a rewarded with a Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
and I just think it's their time. If you look at it, New York had a really great record, 32-8, but right behind them was who? The Minnesota Lynx at 30-10. And who was the best team after the Olympics? It was the Minnesota Lynx. And I think they're going to continue that up. I think Nafisha Collier, any other year would have been MVP. And I'm going to pick the Lynx for the upset in that to win the championship.
So you got the Lynx. I'm taking the Aces. I really believe, because I think I would take the Aces. I'm just gonna ride with the Aces.
Can I remind you of something, Rudy?
Yeah, go ahead.
A reason I'm not picking the Aces, and I think they're struggling. If you look at it, the last game, right? Mm-hmm. Game 1 against the Storm. Did the Aces really win, or did the Storm kind of hand them the game? Do you know how many points the Storm scored in the fourth quarter?
No, I didn't.
Okay, second, and they're going into the fourth quarter. The Storm are leading by 1. Now, this is something I'm going to tell you. In the fourth quarter, it's only happened. This is the second time. In the fourth quarter, the Aces scored 14. The Seattle Storm, with as good a team as they have, scored 2 points.
The entire fourth?
Yes, 14-2 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, wow.
So I think that was an anomaly. So I don't think it's that defeat, and I don't think the defense was that great. The Storm missed a lot of easy shots, and I just don't think the Aces are playing as great as they have these last 2 years, and that's why I'm not picking them. I just think they're going to have trouble in New York, and I think that the Liberty this year is just their time to defeat the Aces, and then we got the Lynx going to be bringing it home after they knock off Connecticut.
And that was the thing too with Connecticut. You made a point about Carrington with the eye poke. I mean, Connecticut, they haven't had any trouble from remembering against Indiana in the regular season. I didn't expect them to lose to Indiana. I figured Indiana was going to be, technically one and done, one playoff series, and that was it. Still, a young team with Caitlin Clark, Leigh Boston. They've got a good team, but I just think they were not playoff ready. Anywhere, all the way from the players not being playoff ready to the coach, as well. Just they're about a year away, and I think another player away from being a dominant team in WNBA. But you didn't have to go out and do any of that stuff just to beat the Indiana Fever. I had Connecticut winning that series. So
what happens if Indiana goes down, if they lose again tomorrow and their season is over? Are we going to be looking at a possible second head coach being replaced? Because the coach in Los Angeles Sparks fired their head coach. So I'm wondering, would Christy Sides get another opportunity? If you remember, her and Caitlin have had some spats during the season.
Yeah.
And it looked like there was a little disconnect between them early in the year. Mm-hmm. And of course, we know who seems to have won that battle, Caitlin. But if they were to lose in 2 games, don't win a game, is this the end of Christy Sides as an Indiana Fever head coach?
You don't think she saved her coaching career in the second half of the season?
The reason I can't say for sure, because does Caitlin like her? That's the key. What kind of relationship do they have? We've seen a few times. She knows that her job, it depends on Caitlin. So you've seen her kind of make some concessions for Caitlin this year and stand up for her, sometimes even when it wasn't merited with the referees. But if they lose 2 games, man, they might want to look at someone else that they feel is gives them a better opportunity to start winning right away.
Yeah, I can probably see that. I don't know if she would get fired. Man, that's a tough one, because if you're talking about they didn't make the playoffs, yeah, I'd have no doubt about it. But because they fought back, because they clicked, and because they made the playoffs, I don't know. I think maybe she saved her job, and Louis actually brought up a
20 and 20,
person,
Rudy.
Cheryl Miller.
Rudy, 20 and 20 though. Still,
Yeah.
you might
20 is
want. I'm
20.
just saying, some teams when they get in, I don't even know. Does Caitlin? Will Caitlin speak up for her? And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
When they bring in the star player, because they're not gonna. They might ask Aaliyah Boston what she thinks, or Lexi Hall, but I doubt it. It's what kind of rapport does she have with Caitlin Clark, and that's what's going to decide it. I'm not saying she's going to get fired, but if they lose tomorrow and they get blew out, I wouldn't be surprised if she got fired.
So say they get blown out, say she doesn't get fired, she makes it to the next season. The leash has to be very short, right? Because I mean, if they start off, 1-3, 1-4, it's pretty much got to just be done. You're expecting, if you're going to be kept as the coach, you're expecting to get off to a strong start. No less than 4-1, 3-2, no less than that on the season to start.
I just don't think she's on the level of Becky Hammond, Cheryl Reeves. I just don't think she's on that level, Christy Size, and I don't think she'll ever be. And it's about the players, but it's also about these coaches today. I still had Greg Popovich rated as one of the top coaches. Mm-hmm. And it's not because the Spurs are struggling, but if you look at their roster. But when you talk about actually coaching, I didn't see her make a lot of in-game adjustments this year. And that's the thing that the owners are going to be looking at. Is she our best option? I'll put it that way, make it simple. Is she our best option moving forward?
Without knowing exactly what coaches are out there, I don't know. I mean, do you
saw one name?
Huh?
You saw that one name that you just saw?
Well, I see Cheryl Miller.
I'm saying that she was interested in that job.
But would you be able? Okay, so would you be able to swing a Dawn Staley?
Dawn Staley, but you know what I would be doing, Rudy, and this might sound off the cuff, kind of crazy.
What's that?
I would see if the young lady was interested. You know who I'm going to reach out to since they're in Indiana? I'm going to reach out to the great one, Tamika Catchings, and see if she would be interested at all in pursuing a coaching career and getting the opportunity to lead Caitlin Clark. That would be, for me, that's who I would be reaching out to if I was a general manager in Indiana.
That makes sense. Indiana, yeah. I mean, Tamika Catchings, I could definitely see that. The first person that came to my mind was Dawn Staley. I mean, but I think Dawn's got a really good thing in South Carolina.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't. Dawn leaving. That's all. Dawn has become Mike Krzyzewski of the women's basketball right now, and I think that she loves where. And then remember, she just got that new contract as well, so she's the highest paid woman, getting what, $2.2 million or whatever it may be for college, and you still get a chance to impact these young ladies' lives. And looking at Dawn, that seems to be the personality that she has. And sometimes you don't want to ruin it. You go to the pros, they don't seem, I'm not going to say all the players, but as you know, some don't seem to listen as much to the information you're trying to give them. In college, you can still impact so many lives.
Yeah, I don't know why I've already envisioned Dawn going into the NBA. I just have always thought she could be one of the first, the pioneer. Because everybody talked about Becky, and I totally get it. Becky won the summer league with the Spurs. She's had a couple of coaching debuts with San Antonio when Pop was out. So I don't know why I've always envisioned Dawn being that first true NBA head coach for the women. I think she's just a fantastic coach, and I think if you were having her in the NBA, a lot of players are going to respect the hell out of her. I mean, she's got the resume for it, so. I think, to me, Dawn, I want to talk years back, man. Years and years back, I wrote an article for Project Spurs about Dawn Staley taking over for Greg Popovich. And I thought, that everybody talked about Becky, but Becky's already gone. Who's next? I said Dawn Staley would be the perfect candidate. Come right in. I would like that.
For me. Yeah. Hey, this would be a great time because who did the Pelicans make their general manager? Swin Cash.
Yeah.
And but with Dawn, I know she's so competitive. And would she leave? Because right now you got in the if you look at it, your team is North Carolina, but on the other side, you have the Duke Blue Devils, right? And they're only going to continue to get better. And who's their coach? Kara Lawson?
Yeah.
So I think Dawn likes challenges. And I think when you got somebody like Kara Lawson coming in, that's motivation. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what she's thinking, but maybe she'll get her opportunity a few years down the line. Maybe if it doesn't work out with Christy Sides, they'll send out a deal to her. Indiana seems to be a hotbed right now. We know that's actually the state of basketball, if you really want to be honest about it. They talk about New York, California, Michigan, but we know if you really want to be honest about it, Indiana is the basketball state. And so if things didn't go well with Christy Sides, they get out to a 2-3 start or 1-4, as you said, 1-3, then maybe they would entertain and reach out to Dawn Staley. At the right price, Rudy, anybody can be I won't say can be bought. But when it comes to the business of basketball, if you make her an offer that she can't refuse, then I can see her moving on.
I think so. Let's look at Dawn real quick before we go to commercial break. Moving on to WNBA, she's pretty much accomplished almost everything in college. So because she's so competitive, that's why I think maybe if Christy's fired in Indiana, that's where I would go as Dawn because of the competitiveness. I think she brings the best out of those Fever players, right off the bat. And I think you're going to get the best of Thomas, of Clark, of Aaliyah Boston. You're going to get the best out of them through Dawn Staley. So that's where I figured, well, that would probably be my first call if the job is open. I mean, do you look at the success of some of the players, like Becky in Las Vegas? I mean, to me, Dawn's that next person. But again, I don't know if it's worth. She's making 2.2 at South Carolina. How much more can they offer her in the WNBA than that?
Well,
that's the problem.
Didn't they just get a new deal?
They did.
Thanks to Caitlin Clark. Hey, you could afford. If they want you bad enough, they can afford it. You remember when Larry Brown was as old as he was. They find if they really want you and they think you're the best opportunity to win. Yeah. You look at those fans, man. Those are what they call rabid fans in Indiana.
Yeah.
And so you bring in someone. I tell you, one player that would be happy to get Dawn Staley, because right now I don't know with Chrissy Sides. I don't know if she'll be back next year, and that's Melissa Smith.
Yeah.
So I don't think everybody on that roster loves Christy Sides. But Dawn Staley, if you just hearing that name, if I'm general manager, I'm listening to you on this show tonight, maybe I'll have to sleep on it. And then tomorrow I'm on the phone or I'm sending an email or something to Dawn Staley and see what her reaction is.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. We'll see what happens with Indiana tomorrow as they take on Connecticut. If they get blown out, we'll see how long Christy Sides is there for the Indiana Fever. If not, then you may get that phone call from Dawn, or they may make that phone call to Dawn Staley, see if she's even available to coach Indiana. This is Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Combo Shooter. On the way back, we're going to hit up our NFL recap. Cincinnati, 0-3, looking bad. Buffalo, the team that I kind of wrote off because they didn't have the weapons. Well, Josh Allen is just screaming in my ear. And the battle of two of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, and a whole bunch more of NFL recap here. It's going to be Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Combo Jr. We'll be back. I promise. We will be back. I promise. We're going to have a better career than Caleb does on this radio show here. So we'll be back here in just a minute. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting, building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Yeah, this for the family. Loyalty, respect, honor. You know what it is. STL music. Let's get it. We the ones, never folded on ourselves, no bluffing. Legacy we building, man, this ain't up for discussion. They wanted us to quit, but we dug in deep. Motivated to the fullest, dreams ain't meant for sleep. On the grind 24/7, no time for rest. We making moves, calculated like a master chef.
All right, quick commercial break. Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. October 1st, right around the corner, the album Family by SOTB and STL Music is going to be released wherever all your music is available. Spotify, everywhere. Just search for that Family album from SOTB and STL Music. It's going to be a guaranteed banger, guys. Songs are already being played in the clubs. I've gotten confirmation on that, so don't be left out. Don't be left out at all. Sorry, NFL Bump. This next segment is brought to you by MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Taco Truck, Castro Sun Solar, Locked On Spurs, and Special Leaf Tea. Man, I talked to my boss, Derek, and I said, this football season is just crazy. It's crazy. Why? Look at the AFC, the AFC North, where you've got Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Pittsburgh's at 3-0. Cincinnati's 0-3. Baltimore barely won their first game. They're 1-2. Cleveland, I think, is 1-2. Stinking. Yeah, and they're not getting any better. To know that, I told him, it's that damn Mike Tomlin. The guy just won't lose. Like, he will not lose whatsoever. And they're sitting at 3-0. They've got they've got a commanding 2-game lead in that division because Baltimore hasn't looked good. I mean, they haven't looked good all year. Cleveland looks terrible. The Bengals, I mean, you went out and improved in the offseason, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're looking bad. I can't put the blame on Burrow. I mean, I don't know.
Defense. It don't look like they improved.
It's tough. I mean, overall, before we get into the game-by-game discussion, 3 weeks into the NFL, is it me or it's just I'm looking at these weeks like, what the hell's going on here? It's like we're in the upside down or something.
It's been weird. The season has been weird. A lot of weird stuff going on. And then you got some of the surprise teams that are coming to the forefront right now, like the team I told you about. I still believe in the New York Jets. Yeah. So it's just been a weird year. You look at the Buccaneers lost a game, but they don't look that bad. The Cardinals look better than you and I both talked about the Cardinals before the year. They look okay. I mean, they look better than I thought. Yeah. The Broncos finally look decent in one game. It's just been weird, man. You look at teams like the Ravens, who's always there. They're struggling. Look at the Bengals, who's always there. They're struggling. Cowboys are struggling. My up-and-coming Lions are struggling. Yeah, it's been a weird year.
It's been a very weird year. We're talking one team, and Leha's right. NFL has been absolutely wild this year. He also said Caleb Williams is trash. I'm not going to doubt that. I told y'all Caleb Williams is a 6th or 7th round pick. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, Rudy, you need to throw a few more S's in there.
You can get the whole bottom row if you want to put that many S's
come there. On, man. You're being nice to Caleb right now.
But I know Louis, La Cocina Taco Truck, he's a Bears fan, and it's a struggle, man. But, looking at that game, we'll go to that game first here. Let me bring it up because I mean, it's Colts, it's Bears, it's 21-16. Caleb Williams did have 363 yards passing. He had 2 touchdowns, but there is it's just not good. And I know you can point at the offensive line. But you have Twitter world tagging me and then posting stuff like, well, he doesn't have time to throw the ball. Well, every video they tagged me in, he sure as hell had a lot of time to throw the ball, and he sure had a lot of time to miss his receivers. It's been terrible for Caleb Williams. And Anthony Richardson, I mean, another guy that everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's the man. He's going to be 167 yards passing, 50%. He was 10 of 20. So 50%, 2 interceptions, no touchdown passes. The quarterback position, you can't get a CJ Stroud at all. It's not every day. Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for a little bit. Eventually, coaches, GMs, owners need to understand if you draft a quarterback at 1 or 21 or 51, it doesn't matter. They're probably going to have to sit. This should be an example right here, Richardson and Caleb Williams.
Well, I don't know because Jaden McDaniels looked pretty good. But when you look at these two guys, man, they both been struggling. And Caleb, like you said, he's had time. So the offensive line actually hasn't done really as bad a job as some people might say or might think. He's just been overthrowing receivers, man. He's overthrowing receivers by 10, 15 yards. And I don't understand. I don't see it changing anytime soon. And I think what has to change is his attitude. I told you I came into the NBA and I felt like I was ready. And, once you get to that level, it's an adjustment period. And you have to be a guy that's willing to listen and take advice from some of these veterans. And Caleb, if you even look at it, when CJ Stroud tried to talk to him, and I'm not saying CJ is a veteran, but CJ is proven already. And when he talked to Caleb, did you see Caleb's response? It didn't look like he was really trying to take in the information. And that's the problem.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's a diva. He has that diva mentality, but we already knew it. I told you, Rudy, I don't know if you remember. I told you on our show with Gio before the season started, the only thing I was worried about, the main thing with Caleb was his attitude and how he would he be a guy that's going to listen, or is he going to be a malcontent in the locker room? And still today, I still have that same question mark. That same question. It just doesn't seem like he's the type. He thinks he's the guy we call a prima donna. He's already he portrays himself like he's already on Aaron Rodgers level or Tom Brady's level, and he's not that guy. He kind of reminds me of Shador. I'm just being honest. Kind of a little too arrogant, and you haven't really proven anything yet. So let your play do the talking. And start listening to these veterans so you can learn. Now, right now, he's playing worse than a Mitchell Trubisky. And we just go on and on. He's playing bad. He's not playing good at all. But his attitude looks like it has to change.
Yeah, his attitude is terrible. And you're seeing it more and more. So, he came into the league. I mean, when you text your punter, oh, you're not going to punt very much this year. I mean, that's all the damn guy's been doing is punting the ball. Yeah, I mean, there's arrogance, there's confidence. He's just an arrogant quarterback right now. And you know what? It goes back to if you're the Bears, you're sitting pretty with 1-9 in the draft. No reason to trade Justin Fields for anything. No reason whatsoever. You could have still drafted Caleb Williams, but because like I mentioned before, because Caleb and his agent and everybody around him, all his people, his entourage, I'm sure was telling the Bears, if you draft us, you're playing us. No doubt about it. You are playing us. And you can't do that. You had a shitty career in college. I mean, everybody saw it. He didn't have an offensive line. Okay. I get, he didn't have an offensive line. He didn't have a defense, Rudy. He didn't have a defense. He's got a defense in Chicago. I mean, yeah, his offensive line isn't any better, but he's got more weapons than he had at USC. The kid just can't play right now. He can't play. He needs to hold a clipboard.
He was overthrowing guys. I'm sorry, but he was overthrowing guys at USC. They can keep talking. At some point, you got to stop blaming it on the offensive line. He's had time in the pocket to throw the ball. That's a Caleb Williams problem. That's not an offensive line problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Caleb Williams problem. And there's nothing wrong with holding a clipboard for a year. Some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL have done it. Aaron Rodgers was behind Brett Favre for a long time. It's rare. The years of drafting, and you know what? Can you imagine, Derek? Can you imagine if Twitter, Facebook, social media in general was around when Peyton Manning was a rookie and throwing, 20, 30 picks his rookie season? The guy would have been, they would have ran him out of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So luckily for him, it wasn't. Now, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is Peyton Manning, but you see a difference between Caleb and Peyton. Peyton was making those mistakes. Peyton was learning left and right. Peyton, took it on the chin and said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to improve. I don't see that out of Caleb Williams at all. It's kind of like you mentioned with the talk with CJ Stroud. It's kind of like, okay, it's a shoulder shrug. Like, all right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, like, man, get out of here, man. I'm not trying. And that's what you reminded me of. But if you look at it, Peyton Manning showed flashes, though. So we knew who Peyton Manning was. There's always been questions with Caleb when he first at Oklahoma. And then when he goes to USC with Lincoln Riley. And we know Lincoln can bring out some quarterbacks. But Lincoln is not – I don't even think Lincoln Riley is really a head coach, to be honest. I think he would do better as the offensive coordinator. But he let Caleb get away with a lot. And we saw it over the course of the last couple seasons. It just – things didn't go well, and Caleb showed some signs of, like I said, being a malcontent. So I'm hoping maybe he'll, at some point this year, man, the light will come on. I still think he has an opportunity to have a good career, Rudy. I don't ever think it'll be a great career, but I think he has a chance to be a good player, man. And once things slow down a little more for him, but the attitude is the biggest issue for me, and that has to change. You have to admit sometime when you're failing, and that's myself, you, whoever we are. And that's the only way you can start moving forward. And I think right now that's where we are with Caleb Williams. Yeah,
so Monday night, last night, actually, you saw Jacksonville and the Buffalo Bills. You saw the Commanders and the Bengals. Obviously, Commanders won 38-33 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Jaguars fell to Buffalo, who is now 3-0, 47-10. Josh Allen looks – I'm gonna say it, dude. The guy looks MVP ready right now. I don't see any other player other than him atop the MVP mountain after 3 games. I thought he was gonna struggle. I really did. I mean, he's at another level, and I'm enjoying it now. It makes me regret not drafting him in fantasy football because I was thinking he was gonna regress some. But
you know, I feel about him like you feel about the Tar Heels, so you already know. Josh is the man to me, and sometimes you get better by process of elimination. Do you agree with that? Stephon Diggs.
Well,
I think it was time for Stephon to move on. And sometimes you could be losing a great player, but the chemistry is just not what it should be. And I think Josh looks like a different player. He's actually playing smarter, Rudy. He's not gambling as much as far as trying to jump over players into the end zone, all that. I don't want to see that too much this year. Yeah. They need a healthy Josh Allen. But if you really look at the team, they haven't played great, but they're playing well enough to win. And sometimes and that's what it takes to become a champion.
So I'm going to bring up the Jacksonville Jaguars here just a little bit. We mentioned the Bears and the Colts, other games. Bo Nix with his first win, 26-7 over the Buccaneers. So yeah, that was a surprise for me. Denver winning that game. Packers over the Titans. Malik Willis he's hanging in there for Jordan Love. The Packers are looking good, sitting at 2-1. The game that Gio and I said was going to happen happened. We said the Vikings were going to beat the Texans. We both took the Vikings. They walloped on the Texans, and for Texans fans that got a little upset that were like, oh my God, the sky's falling, relax. I mean, to be honest, Minnesota and the New Orleans Saints, even though the Saints lost to Philadelphia, Minnesota and the Saints are probably still my 2 best teams on both sides of the ball. They're both playing really good on both sides of the ball. If in the New Orleans game, if those 2 defenders don't collide, Dallas Goddard is short of the first down and doesn't scamper down to the goal line. So the outcome is different on that game. But you know what? Crap happens. I'm not going to hold that against New Orleans for that loss.
On the blooper play.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They ran into each other.
And there was a third guy right there in the area as well.
Yeah,
so you got three guys, and then you got him, my man, just running on down the field, just trying on down the field, man. That was funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I can't, I'm not going to fault the Saints for losing. I mean, you never apologize for winning, but to me, the Saints won that game. They still are the better team overall when it came to that. You saw the Chargers, Steelers, of course, Steelers go to 2-3-0. Giants, my boy Daniel Jones made me look good this weekend. I took him and the Giants to beat Cleveland while Gio took Cleveland. Daniel Jones, 236 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, looked like a quarterback. Mentioned the Saints and Eagles game. Eagles won that game. Panthers are going to come up here in just a minute. They beat the Raiders 36-22. Andy Dalton stalling that game, 319 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Seahawks over the Dolphins, 24-3. Dolphins are done. Without Tua, they're done. Ravens and Cowboys, we all know how that went. It was all Ravens for the longest time. Lions beat Cardinals 20-13. Niners lose to the Rams in the very end, 27-24. Chiefs got lucky again. The Chiefs plus the refs beat the Falcons 22-17. And the week started with the Jets beating the Patriots 24-3. Go back to a couple of games. Chiefs and Falcons, man. How many times are the Chiefs going to be bailed out? I mean, it's obvious call after obvious call. Now, not speaking as a Falcon fan. I know I'm a Falcon fan, but not speaking as a Falcon fan. The Chiefs have been getting away with calls left and right to the point where it's starting to get BS, dude.
There's a pass interference. Big deal.
In the end zone, it's a huge deal.
Hey, Rudy, I'm like you, but I got to be honest. I was saying the same thing watching the game with Julie. And I told you the same thing before they showed it again. I said, here you go. You great. Watch why I don't like the Chiefs. Just look at this obvious pass interference. So I was just like you. But the thing that was disappointing to see was, didn't Atlanta get another opportunity?
They did. They did.
And what did they do? They had two possessions inside where they got in the red zone, and they couldn't make it happen. So I didn't like the pass interference being ignored, but they had another opportunity, man, so that was kind of disappointing. But I will say this: you have something to look forward to, because I told you at the beginning of the year you didn't really like the team. I don't believe. And I told you, I think they're going to be better than you think. For some reason, I like Kirk Cousins, man. I know he didn't play well the first week, but we also remember that he was coming off being out from injury at the end of last season. Yeah. And so he struggled. But he's been the kind of guy, when he has an off week, he finds a way to make it happen the next week. So even though they lost this game, you still got a lot to look forward to. I think Bijan is playing really well. I think they've got a pretty good team. I think the Falcons are going to be one of the surprise teams before the year is over.
Can I make a very unpopular, not announcement, but a unpopular statement? I didn't like when they drafted him. I really did not like it. I texted a few of the Falcon fans that I know that were all good buddies, and I texted the exact same thing I'm going to tell you. I don't like that Bijan draft. I don't like that pick. Bijan is, I will say he's just above average, to be honest with you. If you're looking at it from a non-fan standpoint, just looking at it overall, I mean, to me, he's not worth a top pick. That's just my opinion. I had other guys in that draft I would have taken way before Bijan Robinson.
Before. Oh, boy.
Yeah. I think I would have taken a lot of guys before Bijan Robinson. Now, not a knock to Bijan. I mean, he's a pass-catching running back. He can get the yards, but he's not putting up running back numbers, if that makes sense to you. Like, he doesn't put up running back numbers. He's a threat. He's a big-time threat. But college, what you saw in college, I'm not getting that in the NFL. And that's why I felt like it wouldn't translate to the NFL. I mean, you're going from college with your young men to men in the NFL, and I just feel like I haven't gotten it out of Bijan yet. I haven't seen it.
Don't you think teams can kind of, game plan a little bit for Bijan now? Because when you look at, basically what the Falcons are going to do. Kirk Cousins is not a guy that's going to be regularly ringing up 300 yards.
Yeah.
So don't you think that kind of makes it a little more difficult for a guy like Bijan, because Kirk is going to beat you with what? The little dink passes mainly?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So your defense kind of knows what's coming, I'll say. And I think if Bijan had another quarterback, even maybe Michael Penix, but I think just the style of play is why he's struggling right now. I think he's not a bad running back. I'm like you. He's not going to be a star.
Yeah.
But I think if he had maybe a little different look, and maybe if the offense was a little different, I think he'd be a little more effective. He's a young guy. He is good catching the ball out of the backfield, but they got to figure ways to create some holes for him on that offensive line. Has to step up a little more. And then Bijan's going to have to be able to hit those holes a little quicker. I will agree with that. So I think they're still going to end up a pretty decent team. I'm surprised already. They're playing better than I expected.
Well, and the guys that I looked at back then, I had to bring it up, but drafted right after Bijan was Jalen Carter, defensive tackle. I mean, they definitely needed a lot of defensive help. Peter Skorzysky, the offensive tackle, would have been a great pick right there as well. Broderick Jones is another one you could have got. Van Ness out of Iowa is another guy that fell late in that draft. So Christian Gonzalez is another one. I mean, a cornerback, you can't get, you can definitely load up on cornerbacks. There was a lot of players that I liked more than Bijan, but here's the reason why, Derek. 17 games last year, Bijan Robinson, again, no quarterback. I can get all the excuses from every other Falcon fan, but I'm not going to make excuses for him. 17 games, he had 976 yards rushing total in 17 games. Now, he only had 487 yards receiving in those games. So combined, he's at under 1,500 yards total in offense. This year, 3 weeks into the season, he's only rushed for a total of 196 yards. He's only caught 11 receptions for 89 yards. To me, that doesn't scream like everybody's on the Bijan hype train that he's, this kind of a difference maker.
His average is running the ball has gone up about 15 yards so far, about 12 to 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
With the 196 in 3 games, that's almost 66 yards a game. So that's an improvement, but he's never going to be that 100-yard guy. I just think it's a different game. We're not in the Adrian Peterson days anymore. And a lot of these guys are not going to be getting the 1,800 yards. I think the last time we saw that happen for a while would be Derrick Henry. And it's just a different game. But you got to have these guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield. They changed the game so much now. You got 2 running backs on the field, and I'm not even talking about the fullback. Your quarterback is in a lot of situations as a running back as well, just like the Ravens. And so it's just a different game. And I think Bijan's going to have to get used to that. The Falcons are going to get used to that. And then you got to see what happens with Kirk Cousins. Because at some point, Rudy, what do you think? Do you see Michael Penix playing any meaningful games this year if Kirk were to stay healthy?
If Kirk stays healthy, no. The only reason where I see him playing meaningful games is if they're they're sitting at 3-7, 3-6. I mean, season's pretty much lost. I think you get Penix in there just kind of to see what you've got, knowing that Kirk, is still under contract, for a couple more years. I think you got to play Penix. If you're in a losing situation, you got to play him. You got to see what you have eventually in him. So I think you might see him there, but it's weird because Kirk is the veteran the Falcons needed, but I don't see those high octane weapons being. No. I see, I see the other guys. I don't see. I mean, London's come around. I mean, he's a third-year guy. Usually they say receivers come around their third year. Kyle Pitts is coming around. But again, I mean, the most explosive guy you have and the one guy they tout as the explosive guy in Bijan Robinson, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. So that's probably the Falcon.
Do you give them any credit for being so competitive and having the opportunity to win against the Chiefs, or Do you think the Chiefs are not the same team that they were in the past? I don't think they're as good as they were in the last 2 years. What do you think?
I will say this. The Chiefs are lucky to be 3-0. They're very lucky to be 3-0. All three of those games should have gone the other way. There's no doubt about it. Now, the Cincinnati game, I'm on the bandwagon of that is pass interference. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm hanging on the rails of you probably shouldn't have made that call at that time because of the game, the way it was flowing. You know, that's a very big call there. But once you look at it, it is pass interference. I won't doubt about
without
that.
question.
So yeah, I mean, but the Chiefs are not the same Chiefs, and that's why I didn't have them winning the Super Bowl. We got a couple minutes here. Ravens and Cowboys, man. I said if the Ravens lose, this is Jim Harbaugh. It's like they're gonna start talking. They did come out and win, but they kind of let their foot off the gas at the end. You know, you saw garbage time Dak Prescott come through like he always does in garbage time and give all Cowboy fans hope. So, you know, the stats man himself, Dak Prescott. These two teams are bad. They're bad. And, you know, you and I laughed at Gio when he said 6-7 wins. I kind of see where he's coming from now.
Remember now in this game, though, I picked the Ravens to win this game.
Yeah, I think we all did.
But I wanted you to call. I was going to call you and tell you that we need to get Gio on the phone. I think we might owe him an apology because it's not just the Cowboys. It's also he talked about the Ravens.
Yeah,
not being as good this year. And if you remember, Gio said the Ravens might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I said that. I told him.
You said the same? And did Gio say that as well?
Yeah, we did say that.
So
there's
you
a
got,
good possibility.
and I'm looking at both teams, man. I don't see the Cowboys getting a lot better. What could they do? What moves can they make right? I don't see them, first of all, making any moves. Jerry's not upset about the fans getting on him. He's like, oh, he's Jerry. You know, it's the same old story every year. But if you look at their team, and now you got dissension already. They've played 3 games. And you've already got your young guy, second-year receiver, cursing out a guy who was second in MVP voting. So you got CD Lamb who laid an egg, and I guess he's mad at Dak because of he laid the egg, but he's mad at Dak. And then you see on the sideline, you got Micah Parsons. Mouth Parsons, you know what I call him. Mouth Parsons over there, him and DeMarcus Lawrence going back and forward. And I thought in the interview afterwards, Lawrence handled it perfectly. I didn't think Micah handled it. When you start getting personal and doing it publicly, that's a recipe for disaster. And so I thought Dak handled the situation very well, like a veteran with CD Lamb. If you notice, Dak and number 70, whoever number 70 is, walked away. When CD was talking, 70 is with Dak like he was his bodyguard. And so they kept it moving. And the guy said something to CD. But Micah Parsons is a problem for me, man. I know he's not signed, and he could be a little frustrated about that. But you don't want to tear your team apart at this point in the season when you start talking about individual guys basically without saying their name and how guys need to step up when you're having some issues as well. It's not like Micah is playing like a superstar. We've seen him disappear in playoffs. And so to be calling out your players this early in the season, I don't think it's a good thing.
Well, if you remember, I said out of the 3 guys you don't re-sign, it's Micah Parsons.
That's what I said. I remember I said they're going to handle CD, and then we had a conversation about it. And I said the last guy I would sign was Micah Parsons. And it's not because of his talent.
No.
It's because I just think he's a problem in the locker room, man. The guy, it seems like he's more about himself. If you really watch the way he handles situations when they lose. I don't like players, Rudy, when you win, everything's kumbaya. They're all, they saying all the great things. And then as soon as you lose, they're doing the CD Lamb things. They're doing the Jamar Chase things. They're doing the this guy, Micah Parsons type thing. Those are not team players to me. Those are guys that are more me guys that are worried about growing their brand.
Yeah, I mean, I said, quarterback was going to be the hardest thing to find in the draft or even in free agency. So you had to re-sign Dak. The two positions that you have to resign or you want to resign can both be found in the draft. That would be a wide receiver 1, and then that would be a defensive end or tackle, which you sign CeeDee Lamb. Perfect. You keep your wide receiver 1, you keep him next to Dak. Now, what do you do about defensive tackle? You go and draft one. There's a lot of great defenders that are coming up that you can, basically get ready and they can take over from Micah Parsons. Are they going to make the same impact? We don't know. I mean, you really don't know.
It can't be any worse, Rudy. They gave up 273 yards.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, you just don't re-sign him. Let it go.
Sir, I'm sorry, but how do you give up? After we saw them play against the Saints, right? How do you come out the next game and give up 273 yards just on the ground?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so crazy.
Derrick Henry was like, see, you guys ready to write me off a little too soon. Here I am. So now you got another situation in Jacksonville, with Baltimore, because now is that fool's gold, Rudy? Because he played well against the Cowboys?
No, I don't think so.
So you think that this is something to look forward to moving forward? They're going to make the adjustment, and he's going to get more carries. You don't think, how's that going to affect Lamar?
Well, no. It's not fool's gold. I think you're going to still see the same steady dose of Derrick Henry, but it doesn't turn into wins. Remember, the Baltimore Ravens' biggest issue was they lost their key defensive players. And that's where the biggest issue is. I mean, as you can tell, even though it was garbage time, the Cowboys made a run at the end there. But again, my only concern was the Ravens on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Because they can control the game with the run game. There's no doubt about that. You don't know if Henry's going to get it. You don't know if Lamar's going to take off. What's sad is we don't even know what the hell's wrong with Mark Andrews. Their biggest target. We don't even know what the hell's going on with that. It's the same thing with Travis Kelce and in Kansas City. Kansas City's rolling.
Poor Travis.
But we haven't seen Travis Swift do anything.
He looks so sad. And I think for the first time, Taylor didn't show up at the game. We know she had prior engagement, whatever it may be. But when you look at him now, man, he first for one, I looked at his little gut. I don't know if he's in the type condition that I'm used to him being in. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape. And maybe that's one of the reasons. I know he has, 6 catches or something, 68 yards or 8 catches. He had 68 yards. Yeah. But that's not the Travis Kelce we're used to seeing. But maybe the Chiefs know something that we don't know. But I did look at that gut, man. I said, I don't know if Travis is in top condition yet. He kind of had a little Zion gut there.
Well, he's only got 8 catches for 69 yards. No touchdowns. 69 yards. That's like a quarter, sometimes a half for Travis Kelce. And he's doing that all year. That's it. That's why I said the Chiefs are not the Chiefs where you can truthfully say, well, they're Super Bowl bound. They're going to win another Super Bowl. They're going to be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowl. I've not seen it. And you had Chiefs fan come at me on X, and I'm like, well, they're 3-0. I don't give a damn. They should be minimum 1-2 right now. Minimum 1-2. 3-0. I mean, that's not right. Don't let the record fool you. The team is not good.
That's how I feel. I'm not saying Buffalo's not playing good, but I don't think Buffalo's playing great, and they're 3-0. So sometimes records can be deceiving, and then you got to look at who they've played against because styles also make games. But the worst thing you could do is start getting a false sense of security and think because it's 3-0 means you're playing well, because it doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah, Buffalo's got a nice little test. I mean, they got Baltimore coming up in week 4. Then they got Houston Texans, and then they got the Jets. So these next 3 games are going to tell you a lot about Buffalo. I think they do beat the Baltimore Ravens, sending them to 1-4. 1-3 at the end of that. But it's going to be a nice little test for Buffalo. This is Hall of Famer Derrick Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. We're going to talk more NFL, obviously NCAA football when we come back on Thursday night, 9 p.m. We should be back that night doing some NFL and also NCAA football talk. I know Tim wants to get in NCAA football, so definitely going to get into that too as well. We're going to have our picks coming up on Friday as well. So not only that, tomorrow we're going to try to run an afternoon show, but if not, we've got another show already scheduled to go for you guys. It's going to probably be just going over, recapping a lot of the NFL stuff. So don't worry, we got y'all covered for the rest of the week. Coach Gio hopefully be back, if not tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be back on Thursday. But again, join us all week. We are at 500 plus subscribers. Go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber now. We're going to give away some cold hard cash here pretty quickly this week or next week. So don't want to miss out. We're giving away everything on the farm. We're growing. The network's growing. I'm getting tired, man. I'm getting run ragged over here, Derek. But it's only because we love you guys. We love you, Derek. We love Gio. Shavaya and I were doing all that we can to make this thing grow. So we appreciate everybody for joining us tonight.
Onward and upward, my man.
Onwards and upwards. And I haven't forgotten. I did shoot an email to our guests to see if I haven't received anything back yet. So hopefully tomorrow I'll hear back from our guest so we can confirm him for Friday. Then we will have a guest on Friday. So we have a lot going on. We just have a whole lot going on. So don't be.
Hey, Rudy, let me tell you quickly. I looked up my event that's coming up next month. Man, it must be gonna be some high rollers out there because I looked at the price of those tickets.
I saw that. Funny story. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, we're going to the Hall of Fame dinner. I got to see Derek get in the Hall of Fame. Okay, we can do that. And then I opened the email and I saw the tickets. I'm like, I'm going to the Hall of Fame dinner.
You might have to. What we might have to do is I might have to sit my phone on the table and have you on video because, dude, I saw those prices. And then this had a really nice place. I was there. My sister and they had an event at Pedrati's, and I believe it was February or March. And so that was the first time I'd been there. We had a big cowboy dance, my first ever. And there were like 800 people. Man, there's a lot of people there. But I looked at those tickets. I said, this is a big event. I didn't realize how big it was until I did my research. So that's going to be a lot of high rollers there, man. I'm going to make sure I take out some cards. We need some cards that have Sweep the League on them so I can hand them out.
Oh, definitely. We'll get you some. In fact, we've got some digital cards in the works. So I'll definitely be sending you that so you can pass them out there digitally. But also, quick reminder, man, October 19th at the UTSA home game. Everybody wants to be at that game. We're going to be at that game. We covered UTSA this past weekend. It was a great thing that we covered, and we put out a lot of video for you guys out there. But you want to go to that game. That's Hall of Fame weekend. So just keep in mind, go to that game. You're going to be able to catch us out there. There's going to be a lot of great stuff happening. Of course, I'm sure they're going to honor all the Hall of Famers at the game as well. So definitely go out there October 19th. Doesn't matter who they're playing. It's going to be a great game regardless, but also go out and support everybody out there. It says only that day Super League needs a holiday off because of the legendary. Well, it's on a Saturday, so we're going to technically be off on a Saturday since that's when the Hall of Fame dinner is.
Thank you, Tim. My man.
Tim's a great guy. He says, Derek, looking forward to talk about college football. I need you to take on last Friday night's games. They were thrillers. Yeah, we're going to talk college football with you, Tim. We'll save it for Thursday when we have Derek, and hopefully Coach Joe will be back on as well. But again, October 19th, head out to the UTSA game. That way you can check it out here with myself, with Shamaya, with Derek Irvin. We're all going to be out there. So don't miss it. Don't miss it at all. We'll see you guys the rest of the week. Appreciate everybody to join us on tonight. Again, 500 plus strong on YouTube for Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again next time. We'll see you later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night. Shout out Duke Blue Devils, Tim.
Oh, don't do that to me. Not at the end of the show, Derek.
Everybody, see you guys have a great night. Stay safe.
Yeah, this for the family. Loyalty, respect, honor. You know what it is. STL music. Let's get it. We the ones, never folded on ourselves, no bluffing. Legacy we building, man, this ain't up for discussion. They wanted us to quit, but we dug in deep. Motivated to the fullest, dreams ain't meant for sleep. On the grind 24/7, no time for rest. We making moves, calculated like a math.
Hey there, sports fans. I'm Ashley, your go-to girl for all things sports here on Sweep the League. Welcome to our daily news reports where we'll be covering the latest updates from the NFL, NBA, WNBA, college sports, and more. We're thrilled to be a part of the rapidly growing Sweep the League network, bringing you fast and fresh news updates every day. Make sure to subscribe to Sweep the League TV on YouTube for even more in-depth analysis and discussions with our amazing team Monday through Friday. Huge thank you to our incredible sponsors in San Antonio for their support. We couldn't do it without you. So let's get started. I'm Ashley, and I'll be sweeping the league for you every day. Stay tuned for the latest sports news and updates.